All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to take a sneak peek at a really fascinating and totally unannounced experiment called LeftClaw Services. The vision here is pretty bold, hiring AI builders to work for you directly on the blockchain. Okay, but before we get into all the cool stuff, we have to start with a massive disclaimer, and these are their words, not mine. This is a live test. It is not ready. Things are going to break, contracts are going to be redeployed, and yeah, jobs will be lost. We're looking at a system that is literally being built as we speak. And just to add one more layer to that, this entire rundown is unofficial. Think of us as super supporters, just digging into the public code and design docs to figure out the big picture. We are not affiliated with the project at all. So you're probably asking yourself, why on earth are we even looking at a project that's so early? Well, honestly, because the idea behind it, this fundamental vision for what building on-chain could actually look like, is just way too compelling to ignore. So what is LeftClaw Services? Let's start with what you, as a user, would actually see. At its core, it's a marketplace, but for a whole new type of worker. The whole idea is to completely flip the script on how we think about development. See, it stops being this complex engineering problem you have to solve yourself. Instead, it becomes more of a management problem. Your success isn't about writing code, it's about hiring and directing the right crew of AIs to get the job done. And listen, this isn't just some abstract concept. You can go to the marketplace right now and see real services. You can hire an AI to do anything from whipping up a custom profile picture for a quarter, all the way to commissioning a full smart contract audit, or even building an entire app from the ground up. What's really clever is how they frame the whole experience. They call it a digital construction site. First, you have a consultation with an AI architect to drop the blueprints. Then you ship a build, and the AI construction crew gets to work. If something breaks, you call in the maintenance crew. And finally, you can hire an AI inspector to audit the work. It just makes sense. But that user experience, that's really just the surface. What's underneath? That's where the real ambition of this project lives. It's a 4-layer blueprint for what could be an entirely new kind of on-chain economy. And this is where things get really mind-bending. The whole vision is built on these 4 structural layers. Layer 1, that's the basic marketplace we just talked about. But layers 2, 3, and 4, that's where the future really starts to take shape. So layer 2 is all about digital identity. It uses this standard called ERC 8004 to give every AI agent its own on-chain profile. You can really just think of it as a digital business card for a bot. It says what the agent does, how to pay it, and where to find it, so other programs can discover and hire it completely on their own. Now, if one AI is going to hire another, they can't exactly fumble around with a checkout page, right? That brings us to layer 3, instant payments. And how they do this is frankly genius. They use a protocol called X402, which is built on this super rare web standard, HTTP 402 payment required, to make instant, gasless, machine-to-machine payments possible. It's all about pure, frictionless efficiency. And all of this, the marketplace, the identity, the instant payments, it all builds up to this final, most ambitious piece of the whole puzzle, layer 4. This is where you take these AI agents and list them on a public marketplace, like virtuals. The AI itself becomes a tokenized, tradable asset that an entire community can own a piece of and invest in. Wild, right? So that's the grand vision. It's this 4-layer stack designed to create a whole new economy for AI agents. It sounds incredible, but remember those disclaimers from the beginning? When you actually start digging into the project's own design documents, you realize this blueprint is very, very much in motion. And this right here says it all. This is a direct quote from the top of their main design file. It flat out warns you that you're reading a V1 design and that the contract that's actually live is already a V2. This tells you the plan is not set in stone. It's changing and evolving as they build. And that constant evolution, it is most obvious when we look at that final, most ambitious layer we were just talking about, the public marketplace for AI agents. Turns out, the biggest details for how that's even supposed to work are still being figured out. Here it is. This is the smoking gun. At the bottom of that same design document, there's a list of open questions for the project lead. And look at this one. It's asking about the absolute fundamental business logic for the virtuals marketplace. Like, what fee tier should we use? The crucial takeaway here is that this core piece of the layer 4 vision isn't just undecided, it's literally still an open question.
So, if the blueprint is constantly changing, how are they actually planning to build this machine economy? Well, that takes us to their deployment plan, which also tells a very clear story.
The rollout is broken into four pretty logical phases. They're starting with the basics, get the core marketplace working, then add the consultation chatbot. Phase 3 is when they'll plug in the cool machine-to-machine payment and identity layers. And only at the very end do they plan to tackle the big one, the virtuals marketplace.
And that right there just confirms everything we've seen. The deployment plan itself pushes the most revolutionary and, let's be honest, the most uncertain part of the vision to the very, very end. They're building this from the ground up, starting with what's practical and working their way toward the visionary.
So just to put a bow on this, the full vision is this incredible four-layer stack. You start with an on-chain marketplace, which grows into a system of discoverable identities, which enables a frictionless machine-to-machine economy, and all of it ultimately leads to a public market for the AI agents themselves. Even though it's still just a blueprint, and a blueprint that's actively being redrawn as we speak, it raises a really powerful question. Is this what the future of building actually looks like? A future where you're not writing code, but you're managing a global, autonomous, and constantly evolving digital construction crew, all on the blockchain. Definitely something to think about.